Do-do. So, hello, you guys. This is working. This took me some time. I now know why I'm doing that doopy doopy doo because this program that's taken the screencasity little business that I do to even bring you these wonderful little things through my handy dandy little machine up here has to hear something or it won't turn on. So I don't know, unbeknownst to me, that's how it works. But I just found that out because I was sitting there looking and waiting and listening, and then it just would shut off. It said, "Oh, we failed to capture anything." I said, "Well, damn." So, anyways, I tried talking this up a few minutes ago, and a giant iguana, I can tell, comes stomping over the top of where I'm at. So I had to stop. And it took me some time to scare him off. But it was a big monster, and in the process, I put a hole in my tent. Goes to show just being aggressive isn't the way to go. But listen, what I wanted to talk about was the Quran real fast. This is just, well, I don't know how fast it'd be, but to bring you up to speed on this is that in in our codes, what we have found that when people write about it, and this is in the Tao, and this is the DAO or the TAO, and and when you're listening to Buddha whenever he's talking about the way, when they're explaining the way, and if you're listening to just the teachings of the Buddha, this number system that follows itself. One means this, two means this, three means this, four means that. When you get past 10, you've got one again. 11 is two, 12 is 13, or 12, 13 means it's 12, two and one. This means three people. All right. It's my dyslexia. Also, you guys that are new, I have the worst dyslexia someone can imagine, and it's one of the ways that I was able to begin reading this Bible. You know, seeing some of its code because I started recognizing something going on. I just could see a pattern, and that's really all the basics for what I have. Plus, I've always wanted to find out the secrets to our Bible. But anyways, the code shows a particular way of things going. You when they're talking about four, they're talking about kingdoms. They're talking about this kingdom, the kingdom of man, the kingdom of God, your emotional side, and the physical side of us. These are all individual kingdoms that we have to conquer within ourselves. So four becomes something about traveling, because in order to change your mind, you have to go a certain way, do the works to do this. But anyways, they sync up through all of these different stories throughout time. Even in the story with Cinderella, she follows this code. They all follow this code. The opening story for Cinderella is that the two men that are traveling are outside of her house, and she comes out and draws water for them. That's the beginning of all these stories. A good number of them. To draw to should I draw for you and your mate? So the prince is the one that she's marrying, and even in these stories, when it's all over with, like the frog and the prince, the frog gets changed over, and when it's all over, there's this one person. He had someone that was with him all the time that was wrought as if he had gone through all of this himself. Right? It's the way the story works. It's the two. It's those two. But anyways, the number three is when number two is all drawn together. When God's creation and love, God themselves, the energy, are all three brought together. That's the number three. That's what it is. So Islam falls as the third one down. All right. And when it comes down to Judaism, because they're basically all fighting for the same place. All right. Years and years and years ago, way before Muhammad was ever born, Islam existed. The Quran existed well before this guy came around. All right. So did the name Allah. Allah meaning a moon god. This is a Babylonian moon god. And if you understand that moon, anything to do with the moon is sin. And sin is about emotions, and it's red and stuff like that. So it continues to be in the same stories as anything else that we discover here, representing but Allah is really the only name for God that Islamic people have. They say, what is Allah? Allah is everything. God is everything. Allah means everything, and God, and it means God. So Allah is not a different entity. Allah is just a word that means God. And got rid of that frog. Now listen, up to speed is that I'm not able to find the code in the Bible, in the Quran, that is. It would be the third number, it would be the third one, and it should have some really wonderful things to talk about. Or it talks about the two different ways. If you're not connected, this is the kind of life you're going to live. And if you are connected, this is the kind of life that you will live. But that's really what would happen in 3. Because what we learn is that through the Old Testament, we are introduced with Moses. And Moses introduces us or with the books of Moses and the creation stories and stuff like that. What you get is the consciousness. You get the beginning. In the beginning, we get the beginning. We get to learn about God. That's what the number 1 is all about. It's in the beginning. He is the one. So the Old Testament is going to represent the number 1. It's going to introduce us to this thing called consciousness. And so all these stories are talking about, that consciousness in the Old Testament is God has left the building. And nobody is doing the works, all right? Or nobody is following the law. They've taken a topical view of everything, and they are very much in charge of, representing materialism in the outside world. Their God, they're still waiting on him to return, means he's not with them, so they are disconnected from God. The whole kit and caboodle, the whole generations and generations of those people. And what the Bible calls the Jew, we're introduced as a Jew, is someone who is an inwardly person, someone who represents someone that's going to serve their Lord from the inside of them, where they can reach God. Versus the whore, we're introduced to the outside world as the strange woman. And of course, womankind in our Bible represents spirituality and the right side of our brains. Toss your nuts over to the right side. This is what we learned from number 2, the second book. All right, number 2 is God's creation. So what do we get out of this? Is we get Jesus. Jesus is begotten Son. Begotten is something that is created through emotions. This is your emotions and the mind coming together and begetting something. All right. We begot a lot of things. We put a lot of names on our teddy bears and stuff like that. But this is this idea of our emotions getting involved, with our mind getting involved with our emotions, and then creating God on the outside. This is the fallen angel stories. These are we were disconnected from God altogether. In the Old Testament, it tells us that we took this vow of separation from God to grow our hair, and one day we would return. But until the works are done, we don't get there. So it's what we get from the second phase of this is God's creation. What do you have to do? All right. So God's creation. And he tells us in this story that he is Elohim and has created you in the image of him. And that your brain, your right and left side, the Elohim is not just a man in charge. It's the male and a female. But when the male is the one that's in charge, that's the carnal mind. It's just the idea of the half-brained animal. And then we have this beautiful side to us on this other side who stays, and it's made desolate. This area is because of the whore of Babylon, because of religion, uh, has created this gaping hole in your body, in your mind, where she sits, where mother sits. You don't even know who mother is. Some of you people think that's all new age. Well, enjoy your poverty is what I say. But the third book should be telling us something. The third book should be the coolest one because it's the combination of using your hand, going the way, and then finding God. All right, becoming one. In these stories that are left to us by Buddha and Krishna and these other entities, they tell both sides of the story through the book, but it's always but the guy who does together, the guy who comes as one, he is the chosen one. He is the chosen. So, anyways, this was called the Birmingham Bible, all right, because it's in some university up there, and I want to tell you that what happens is that it's hard to find this code in it, and when I listen for it, I can't hear it. So what happens is I look for discrepancies, and I asked the computer. I said, show me this Bible, show me pieces or whatever you can, and so I got a little bit, and I want to go over it with you. Because what happens is when they back this thing up verse by verse, they say that the Bible is totally different than the one that they're using today. However, there are some verses in there that are basically untouched, and when they use the Quran, both the old one and the new one, they said that this one has not been touched. This is the one that I want to read to you. Okay, so I'm going to minus you down. Hopefully everything's still here. And it's just the wonderfulest thing. So it's called the Birmingham Quran. All right. And it would be considered the oldest one found ever. And it actually predates, or it's like was written like 60 days or so after his death, Muhammad's death. But I don't believe so because it can't be written after. If it has a code in it, it was written well before. All right. And like I said, this is the only one that's real. Muhammad as a prophet, and he's just a normal person like you and me that was manipulated into becoming this birther of this group of people. But let's see here. Where is it at? The Birmingham Quran. Here we are. Let me get us up to the top. God damn it. Just push the button. Here we go. Let me see how this works. Okay, so this is called, what is this called? Here's a translation of the verses shown in graphic detail. Well, let me find out what the name of this damn thing is called. I don't think it matters. I don't care. It'd be like, Revelations, or it was this, or it was that, but in this instance, Taha. This is verse 1. Taha. 2. We have not sent down to you the Quran that you be distressed. 3. But only as a reminder for those who fear Allah. 4. A revelation from He who created the earth and highest heavens. 5. The most merciful Istawa rose over the throne in a manner that suits His majesty. 6. To Him belongs what is in the heavens and what is on earth, and what is between them, and what is under the soil. Number 7, and if you speak aloud, then indeed he knows the secret, and when and what is even hid, what is even more hidden. 8, Allah. There is no deity except him. To him belong the best names. 9, and has the story of Moses reached you? 10, when he saw a fire and said to his family, stay here. Indeed, I have perceived a fire. Perhaps I can bring you a torch or find at the fire some guidance. And when he came to it, he was called, O Moses. Indeed, I am your Lord. So remove your sandals. Indeed, you are in sacred valley of Tua, and I have chosen you. So listen to what is revealed to you. Okay. All right, let's go back to this again. I want you to understand that's as far as I've gotten on this. It's all I have, but I would love to hear more and love to see more. This is all code. Every bit of this is code. Taha. Taha, they don't know what Taha means. All right. What I went and found about Taha, it means praise. All right. It's also the number 5. Number 5, when you have the numerology of the number 5, Taha. Taha, it's an expression. And it's really talking about you. So Taha is, hey, it's me, God. It's going to be the number 1. Number 2, we have not sent down to you the Quran that you be distressed. So this is the combination of what we sent down to you. All right. That's 2. All right. That has to happen. 3, but only as a reminder for those who fear Allah. Now, 3 is when you get all mixed together. This is only for those people that fear Allah. And those people that fear Allah have come to this conclusion that, we've gone inside and we have found this place. All right. We have found God. And the way you know that is because the number 4 comes in here. The revelation from he who created the earth and the highest heavens. It had that kind of the kind of wording on channel on 4 should have some kind of thing to do with earth, heaven, kingdoms, and traveling, or something to do with wind or whatever directions. So here, what do we have with 4? A revelation from he who created earth and the highest heavens. And number 5 is going to be about our body. 5 is the skin. The most merciful Istawa rose over the throne in a manner that suits his majesty. This merciful Istawa is you, rose over the throne. Remember, the idea is to go above the carnal mind, and this is where the Father sits, believe it or not. This is you have to raise your thoughts above those of the mind to reach this Lord. So this is what 5, the most merciful Istawa, rose over the throne in a manner that suits his majesty. Okay? That also is talking about you. You are this most wonderful thing. You are this most wonderful praise thing. God is pleased with you when you go through this route. All right? And how do you know that? Because 6, here's this idea. 6 is the 6th chakra. It's usually quiet, darkness, silence. It's the ladder, it's the works, it's the midst. Let's see what it says. Number 6, to him belongs what is in the heavens and what is on the earth, and what is between them and what is under the soil. This is 6. This is when Jesus or God, devil comes in and says, hey, I will give you this, I will give you that. But God says, you keep going this way, I'll give you this and I'll give you that. So 6 is this idea. To him belongs what is in the heavens and what is on earth. This is because you're combining two things. But the devil comes in at this particular point, or if you're in you know, near death experiences, we're not ready for you. And so I think you need to come back home. We'll make you kingdom of these guys, stuff like that. So seven is this idea that, this is the crown chakra. This is, we are coming and repenting. We are asking for God's mercy at this point. We're being judged. All right. So seven. And if you speak aloud, then indeed he knows the secret and what is even for hidden, be more hidden. So the word even shows up between 6 and 7 all the time. This is that idea of balance. All right. Number 8 is a control situation. Usually 8 is like, dun, 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 we got the new you and everything's happy and all this stuff. Allah. This is what number 8 is. Allah. There is no deity except him. To him belong the best names. So 8 is, hey, you're now cooking with God. 9 is total confirmation. And as the story of Moses reached you, this is 9. And has the story of Moses reached you? The story of Moses is one who is drawn out of the water. And that's the whole point of these ideas. When Moses starts his idea, when he's born, even this one story, but this idea of he comes to this well once he runs away from Egypt. He comes to this well, and these young ladies come up and want to serve him water, right? And then the men of the town came and chased the women off. And then Moses rose, he stood up, and the females, the men ran off, and the females came back in. So you have to understand this whole idea behind Moses is being drawn out of water. He's the beginning. He's the first phase of this consciousness, is that we have to slip off our shoes. All right, let's keep going on with this. All right, because Moses has made it up to this mountain. I want you, let's not get too lost here. So 9 o'clock, have you ever heard the story of Moses? This is number 9. This is about how to reach this consciousness. When he saw a fire and said to, this is number 10. 10 is the beginning again. When he saw a fire and said to his family, stay here indeed. I have perceived a fire. Perhaps I can bring you a torch. Or find at the fire some guidance. Perhaps I can bring you a torch or find some guidance from this fire. So listen to this. This is the way things work. This is the code being worked out in front of you. All right. And one of the only parts of the scripture in the Quran that has the code in it. Here's number 11 talking. 11 is a 2. 11 is talking about the creation of man. Or his creation, the creation of God. All right. So here we are, 11. And when he came to it, he was called, O Moses. And number 12, which is a 3. Indeed, I am your Lord. So remove your sandals. Indeed, you are in the sacred valley of Tua. Now, Tua means earth. All right. The sacred valley. All right. He has to take off his shoes. That's what it means. Didn't we just say that? Of course I knew it. Of course I knew it. Of course I knew it. All right. But the idea is that when you come to this place, take off your shoes. That means, you're the water. This is the faith. I have chosen you. It's the 13. 13 is 1 and 3. All right. That's for I have chosen you. So listen, what is revealed to you. And there isn't any other text after that. Just a bunch of silly pictures. But anyways, I can't find anything else in there. So let me find you. Let's pop this back up into the light. There you are. Oh, so What's interesting is that TUWA is actually identified through Native Americans as Earth. Kind of interesting, isn't it? That they're the ones that have this number. Um, Taha, closed or tied is another name for that. Um, Closed or tied. All praises are for Allah. So ta, and ha is means hand, praised. Hand. Wait. Ha ham. It's a hamid. It's a part about the hand. It has to do with our hands. All right. Done enough. Done enough. The part of the Bible, the code that you were supposed to understand, was one of the only verses so far that has been pulled out of the Quran as being exactly word for word. All right, by the Quran, and it contains the code beautifully. It really does. So there's a bit of salvation being offered in this part of the book. All right, the handwritten one by Muhammad himself is a forgery. It's a it's a forgery atop of what was supposed to have been, sacred texts that are never changed. And that's one of the things about this sacred text that this German has found is that underneath what they write, that's where they're finding all of this stuff, is because it was washed off and replaced. And with their technology, we're able to pick up what was erased. And thank God. All right, so there may be some salvation for this group, but they are so hell bent on this Quran being perfect as it is right now in its hellacious state that there'll be no way that you can get them to change. Just like you guys, they have to go through the works. But their entire works have been not entire. We just found some are gone. All right. In fact, there's some text in there that they called evil text. There's some weird things that, in all these homemade places, they say something and then they make this rule up and everybody does it for a while and then say, uh-oh, we better recant that. We'll just say that, God told us that, no, this was not what we meant. And of course, everyone will fall hook, line, sinker for it. But there's no such audits and stuff like that in these other books. There really aren't. And where someone has said that the Old and New Testament have been tampered with, well, not really. It's the idea that they've not used other texts along with them, that they've made other texts illegal or killed people over them or destroyed them in some way because they don't fit. That's where the manipulation has come about. And of course, the way that we read things by the religious sect itself, telling us that mankind and womankind is you and a woman having sex. And in reality, it is. It's the physical side that they're talking about, not the mental side, because we want mother and father to come together, and that's a female and a male energy, and we'd like for them to come together as one. And that's what it means to know something and to know these energies, to have sex with them. All right, so beautiful day to you guys. I love you, and that's the truth. God's honest truth.